Today, most of us are wearing yellow because, wait, do you guys have yellow?
As a matter of fact, I do.
Well, the reason we're all dressed in yellow is in honor of the recent amendment that was ratified earlier this year. This amendment guarantees the right to all women to vote. This definitely affects the millions of women in our country and allows us women to influence the politics from our social spheres as mothers.
Sure does. All women must know.
However, this is simply a small step towards equal rights as women. We must refuse to settle down for such a measly measure when we can push for much more. Therefore, I think we should have more reforms, more amendments, an equal rights amendment, if you will, and one that can fully and clearly ensure us with full legal protection.
So you think we should risk what we as women have just won to gamble for even more?
I think what Alice is trying to say is that we can attain so much more. I mean, we were able to get the 19th
Now,
Amendment.
from what you're saying, it seems like more of a silly idealistic cause that doesn't take into consideration realistic outcomes.
However, women should not have to settle for less. The female half of the country deserves to have as much more. We should have the right to acquire and have the same equal privileges as the male half.
That could invalidate all the advances we have just made. All our progress could be taken away. The progress we have worked so hard to attain, just to gain some extra radical measures. You have to keep in mind that most of our success is due to the fact that we promised to maintain our separate spheres.
We're not asking for radical measures, we're simply asking for the guarantee of our basic rights. You of all should understand.
Remember, however, that we should not only be focusing on voting rights, but also much more than that, such as our medical needs and our conditions in the workplace.
Oh yes, Margaret, you actually mentioned some very interesting statistics earlier this morning.
I did, you know. I was reading some newspapers the other day, and one of them actually stated that there are now 2 or 3 generations of women graduates in America. This is interesting because despite the presence of more professional women, we still see mostly men in these fields such as doctors, lawyers.
And interestingly enough, women are also a large force in pink-collar jobs, the underpaid yet extremely tedious jobs women have to settle for. And some of these women are bringing in just as much money as their husbands.
I think this is an interesting thing, as women are no doubt a rather new appearance in the workforce. What has it been, 50 years since we slowly started moving out of the separate spheres?
But we still are sort of in our sphere, if you think about it. You still see us stuck in the feminine fields such as fashion, education.
We got to acknowledge that things change slowly. The natural spheres are hard to challenge since they are so ingrained in our society. We ought to accept the subtle transition.
Things are not going to go subtly. Industries are quickly rising and we can't slow that down. Why slow ourselves down? The new professional woman can do all the things the traditional mother has done and much more. She's now combining family and career, and I think this is really empowering.
Absolutely. Now recently, there's been talk about another measure that could impact all of us women, the Shepherd-Towner Act. According to Congress, if passed, it would provide federal funds to states to establish prenatal and child health care programs.
I don't think this is an important measure to the cause. This is not a women's rights issue as much as a mother's issue. I would like to remind you all, not all women are mothers. Look at me, I'm not a mother.
Yes, I'm very well aware of that. Since last time I checked, you're still single. I understand your reasoning, but all mothers are women, and the securing of this law, which benefits mothers, would show America that a woman's voice is large and powerful.
My main qualm about this act is the implications regarding birth control. It would discourage birth control efforts.
How so?
With this act, women would be less skittish about the possible chance of being pregnant and the many difficulties of bringing a child to this world. They would feel safer that they would still have assistance and support if it does happen.
And this would only just reinforce women's stereotypes as mothers.
And with that in mind, think about how they will support their large families. How would they support their household? The lack in publicizing of birth control is the reason why we have these poverty-stricken communities. But Carrie, do you know what I really hate?
What would that be?
That it seems like us women are only known as instruments for reproduction. Marriage and relationships back then seemed to only serve for one purpose, to procreate. The relationship between man and woman seemed to have lost its focus. But thankfully, a new trend is emerging. The new trend of companionate marriages brings the realization of importance of a healthy sexual relationship. This means that us women realize the importance of sex just beyond creation.
That's ridiculous.
I am not sure how I feel about the implications of the need for a woman to please a man.
It's simply the enforced male-centric ideas that shamed us into not thinking that way ever before. Yet now, we all know better than to adhere to it, and we can even be more liberated sexually with widespread practicing of birth control. We can forget always having to make love with creating another person in mind. I know, based on your single status, Alice, you don't have much experience.
So, You're saying that we as women trying to gain an equal standing with men should act like harlots.
Well, no, but I'm saying that we can find new ways of intimacy and expression through sex.
Interesting. Actually, this reminds me of a new trend that's been popping all around America in the past months. Flappers.
Oh yeah, those women are revolutionary women lifestyles. I mean, they embrace the idea that women do not have to maintain a rigid respectability. We're talking about smoking, dancing, being sexy, and having fun.
Sounds great.
Right? It's great to see women living for themselves for once.
Honestly, it sounds horrid. These women are living for hedonistic pleasure and making all of us look bad. What happened to the noble and humble nature of women? The ideas that have contributed to the passage of women's suffrage.
We all know that is not the case. This was just a stereotype placed on women by men.
True or not, this is what is right now. And personally, I like the idea of independence that this flapper trend is conveying for women. We are allowing ourselves to have fun, and that's been so new to society. Women are flocking about without men to clubs. You can't tell me that this is not exciting.
Well, I do get your point. Now, before the break, we have an exciting treat for you. Alice, why don't you explain?
Well, we have a special treat for the audience today. Yes, I know, settle down. We have put audience members' names into a hat, and we'll be pulling out for the chance to win our amazing prize today. Margaret, will you explain the prizes?
Our first prize is a $10 gift card to the hip new store, Flapper 21. The second prize, yes, Flapper 21. The second prize is a poster signed by the one and the only beloved Susan B. Anthony.
And it's now time to pick the winner. And the winner is Meriwether Clementine.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I just want to thank you, the TV show, the producers, my mother and daddy for conceiving me.
Well, that is all the time we have. See you next week when we discuss the top ways to stick it to the man.